here, on the very rim of known space, justice is a long way away.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I don't know why I started it like that. I have no idea where that came from. I'm in a weird mood today. Welcome to the Space Game Junkie podcast, y'all. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining us, as always, is your co-host, Spaz.
Hello.
Your co-host, Julie.
Hello there.
Your co-host, Thorsten.
Hi.
And your co-host, Jacob.
Now the Christian was the finest ship from here to Charlemagne. Hello, everyone.
Okay. What is that? What I've never heard.
That's Dawson's Christian by what was her name again? What was her name? Leslie Fish. Notorious, as it's called, filk musician, which is basically people doing folk music but spacey.
Oh, right. Yeah. You don't have to start every show with the song, but if you feel inclined, no one will complain here.
I needed a quote, and that's the first thing that came to my mind because I'm still doing the quotes bit until I get bored of it.
Oh, that's
until chat gets bored of it.
Do what you gotta do, man. We all have our bit. We all have our bits, and if you feel that's your bit for now, that is fine. So, folks, welcome to the show today. We have a topic brought to us by Thorsten, and it is basically under or unused gaming tropes. Unused tropes that are in like other things in fiction or in general that we don't see very often in gaming. And Thorsten, you already had an example of this, so why don't we start with the example that you thought of so no one else steals it, basically. But it's also a good one. So why don't you start off with the example that you thought of to bring us this topic?
Well, it came to me while I was playing a Coupled Space program a few years ago. And, you regularly shoot your Kerbals into situations where they likely would die. And I started to have some fun with rescuing them out of these situations, and I wonder why no developer has gone into this space rescue scene, especially in early space program situations or likely current space program situations in a new space environment, where you have basically a space rescue service and just have to rescue people out in space.
That would be a fun. That would be a really fun game. I think that would be a really fun game.
Basically, something like Stormworks, if you know that game.
Yes.
Quite extensively myself, yes.
Okay.
Is that a good game? Stormworks?
It's solid.
Yeah, would say so, yes.
Yeah, I know for Brian, he wouldn't like it as much because of the crafting element, the building element. He's not really into that, but
no.
But the other mechanics of the actual going out and doing the rescue stuff is kind of fun.
Can you skip the building mechanic and just get to the rescuing stuff, or do you have to do the building stuff?
Well, there's some pre-built stuff that you can use, but it's probably better if you make your own designs and then optimize them.
All steal stuff off the Steam Workshop.
Yeah, I was going to mention that as well. Yeah.
Oh, there's Workshop. Okay, so I might have to pick that up then, because I was going to do a tangent off of your idea. Thorsten, because I love the idea of space rescue. And I wish more games did like rescue stuff in general. Like we have stuff like police games and whatnot. But I always think like the game that got me into that sort of thing was Simcopter. And that game, like, you didn't just rescue people, you did taxi missions and you put out fires and stuff like that. And I always wonder why there aren't more games that allow you that kind of like like mission flexibility to put out fires and stop traffic jams and medevac people and stuff like that.
You could actually, and that is another thing I came up with when I prepared for this podcast, and integrate it into a classic space patrol sim. You know, where you've got a lot of things to do, which aren't only shooting stuff up. You know?
Yeah. Oh my God. That's a big criticism of, say, Star Trek games. Like, so many Star Trek games aren't about so many Star Trek shows aren't about the shooty, but then just about every goddamn game is about the shooty. It's like, no, that's not what we want out of Star Trek.
And only one was good at it because it was Klingon Academy, where
Thank you. Yes.
it's Klingons. Admittedly, it's Klingons. That's the one thing you're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
So what exception?
Yes, exactly. And
I would add that although it is, combat focused in the way that they've handled pretty much all of the games that have been made for Star Trek, there's also the point that if they focused on the adventure and exploration, they wouldn't get as much traction. And the producers know that.
Yeah, maybe.
I hate that it's the case.
Yeah.
But it is the reality of it.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. I mean, I love combat, don't get me wrong, but like, it feels so great in Klingon Academy and just so out of place in Bridge Commander. You know, it's I don't know.
Honestly, Bridge Commander's combat wasn't that great.
That's also true.
Well, there's Bridge Crew, which is kind of fun, but at the same time, you have combat being very, very heavily focused.
Yeah, exactly. And
I mean, there were the Star Trek adventure games where you walked around and did stuff, but they were like LucasArts adventures, and who makes those nowadays?
Well,
some of them still get made.
Apparently some former Telltale folks are going to be making a Star Trek adventure game. That was announced at the what were they called?
Something about that.
Awards.
The Video Game Awards,
The Game
Awards, which I think is the funniest name for a thing. Like, what's the most boring name for a thing possible? Let's not add any spice to it. Anyway,
it's worth the video games.
Awards
So
for
I've got to mention that Star Trek Online has a handful of missions that aren't combat orientated at all.
which is true. It's true, but the word
They
hand.
are the most interesting ones.
But the I think the big word you use there is handful. Like, there are a lot of missions in that game, and 90% of them result in some sort of combat. I would say that I've played.
Play shoot lads.
Right.
And what was that? What was that, Jacob?
Go to place, shoot lads.
Yeah,
As
and
a famous reviewer, Yahtzee, has once said about Destiny. I believe the first Destiny game.
oh really?
It's about going to a place and shooting the lads
That's-
and varieties thereof.
And for certain games that works, like the game I was playing this morning, Warhammer Inquisitor. Basically, you go to a place and you kill a lot of things. But that for that particular game, that works. But
Because for two reasons. One, the shooting the lads is the fun part. Two, it's Warhammer.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Actually, part two.
Both the context and the execution are perfect for a game about going to a place and shooting lads.
Execution, pun intended, I hope.
Yes, retroactively.
I think we're gonna start using shooting lads for just about everything now, because that just sounds funny. I'm gonna go here and shoot and kill some lads. I'm gonna stab some lads.
I say that way too often myself, so you're free to go ahead. All right, so carrying on. Space Rescue.
Yeah, like there aren't a lot of games. If we're gonna keep talking about this particular trope for a minute, there aren't a lot of games that have that kind of thing, like Kerbal Space Program. The game on the stream, I'm glad you brought it up, Thorsten. Evercron Legacy has some rescue missions where someone needs fuel and you'll go out there and you'll get paid to deliver them some fuel. Rebel Galaxy Outlaw has distress calls, but that's like it. Like I can't think of any other space games where
Eventually
rescuing.
you've got to mention Elite Dangerous with fuel rats.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah, that was
the thing
that was
is
emergent.
the thing is like with many. Oh damn it! I'm sorry. With many things, in terms of Elite, that is not game supported. That is a thing that the players do entirely on their own, which is great. But I mean, yeah, why doesn't someone make a fuel rat game? I'd play the ever loving frack out of that. You know, like
Well, just a game where you're in a boat, like a rescue ship, just going through ever more interesting areas and locations, having a whole game about like first off locating, like navigating, locating, and so on.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what that reminds me of?
What?
Reminds me a bit of Death Stranding for reasons I'll explain in a bit. Because Death Stranding is a game about walking.
That's true.
But the thing is, rather than just being about walking, it goes out of its way to make walking an engaging and interesting mechanic. And admittedly, not everyone likes it. I do, and I understand anyone who doesn't. It is a game that's basically just walking. But I feel like not enough games, especially space games, it's hard to make space interesting as terrain because space is by definition the absence of terrain.
Yeah.
But I feel like a game that heavily focuses on things like navigation and observation and figuring out navigational hazards and getting to a place in a variety of ways would be far more interesting. Interesting by itself.
This is why I wonder. This is why I'm wondering why no one has done Euro Truck Sim 2 in space. I mean, because so much of Euro Truck Sim 2 and American Truck Sim is the driving, but there's also the business element, which makes you keep coming back to it. And I wish there was something like that in space. You know, why isn't there a space trucking simulator? I mean, a lot of games have space trucking. You know, Elite, Evacron, they all have their own versions of space trucking. But no one does it to the extent, no one does it in a way like Euro Truck Sim and American Truck Sim do, where you run a business and you could hire other pilots and things like that. You know, I think that would be amazing. But I think one of the problems, and you just brought it up, is that how do you make space traversal interesting?
Because traversal is made interesting via terrain, and space, as I've said, is the absence of terrain.
So what you would need there would then be hazards that cause problems to happen.
Yes, you would need to somehow make terrain.
Or a nebula that
then
cause the chips to get lost, and then they need help.
Yeah, like
alone reaching the correct orbit. Sorry for interrupting you, but alone the problem of reaching the correct orbit could be a game in itself.
Yeah, and but you could also have like space highways. Like
you gave me an idea, Thorsten.
Okay.
Because I feel like you could make it interesting if you actually went maybe not full Kerbal Space Program, but focused on actual Newtonian physics to a lesser extent, and have the game be primarily about optimizing flight paths and figuring out the fastest way to go to a place using physics.
Was it
correct? That was the thing I was thinking about.
Wasn't there like a racing game that came out a year or two ago that was exactly that? Like you got
there were two. Like I think no, there was. I know what you're on about. I forgot the name of it. Sorry.
Yeah, the one where you get you have to like angle your launch trajectory to a point where you'll orbit a thing and avoid obstacles and get to like the ring without dying. What the hell was
something like that?
Yeah. What the hell?
There's Nimbatus, the space drone constructor game.
I mean, that's fun, but no, this was like a first person. You're in like a pod and you get shot out of that pod and you have to aim the pod just right around an orbital body. So not only do you avoid the obstacles, but you get through like a ring under a certain amount of time. But what the hell was that game?
Okay, we can discuss that later because if we remember what that is. So that could also be interesting. And I love how we're still doing both space rescue and space jogging, because we've just kind of settled onto a topic of how do we make a space game that isn't just about shooting things interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Because I mean, I wish there were more games that didn't just focus on shooting. And
in general, yeah, true.
Yeah, there are some, but not a lot. Stellar Command. What is that? Stellar Command. I don't know. Luke just brought it up. I don't think I know that one.
I've actually known now the game what you meant, Brian, and that is wait.
Waiting with bated breath.
But
Gravity Vector.
What's it called?
Could you repeat?
Gravity Vector was a game.
Gravity what?
Vector?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all. It probably had the most generic freaking name. Anyway.
Well, it does, and apparently we can check that out later. Sorry.
Anyway,
because we are both. Oh, actually, no. I guess we are still on topic, but clarify.
Yeah, we are. We are. And again, there's no reason we can't go on tangents.
Yeah,
it's a discussion. Oh, you might be right. Hang on, let me look this up. Oh my God, you're right. You got it. You got it, Thorsten. You are absolutely right. It is called Gravity Vector, and it is, how much is it? $5. That was a tough game. That was a tough game. I like that game. Gravity Vector. Yeah, that's God. How you'd have to add Void in there to make it a more generic.
Yeah. We just need to do an entire podcast that's just a list of the most generic space game names we've seen.
Oh man, there's so many. Just go
try to brainstorm the most boring ones over the course of an hour.
Was there one called Void or something? I don't remember. There might have been.
I mean, there was Kinetic Void, and that was
awful. That was awful.
Sorry.
There's
also it's literally just a game.
We have bad memories of that one.
I think Void Expanse might be my favorite because it's so redundant. Because a void is basically an expanse, so it's like.
Now the upside, there is a game just called Void, but it's not a space game. It's apparently a visual novel about.
What?
It's a visual novel with guns in it. Okay, no, too big of a tangent. Let's carry on.
No, there's no such thing as too big of a tangent. Oh yeah, Celestial Command, Luke. I remember that one. I think I tried playing it once and wanted to rip my brain out because it's
still in early access after 7 years of development.
Well, that happens. I mean, look at Star Sector. That's been in early access for 10 years. So I mean,
speaking of Star Sector, because I wanted to bring up my idea.
Okay.
If we're on the focus of space games, because if we weren't, we need 3 hours of podcast. I feel like too few space games in general focus on don't allow you to play things that aren't a single seat thing. You play a single seat like fighter or small transport ship or some kind of small scale boat. You do not get to play as anything bigger. And even in like on a personal level, because of course there's RTS, there's Homeworld, there's like not StarCraft 2, but even though that technically has ships. But there are RTS that allow you to play like, big capital ships, but, right, on a board, controlling them as part of an army. But you don't get to actually play the big boat. There's Rebel Galaxy. There's
Battlecruiser 3000 AD.
There's Battlecruiser 3000 AD, yes. And there's the first Infinite War. Infinite War? What was it called?
Independence War.
Independence War, sorry. And that's it. That's all we get. Plus, by technicality, I will say Star Sector because it does allow you to take control of a single ship. But I feel like too few games allow you to, just because the thing is, when it comes to spaceships, single seat fighters are honestly not the way things seem like they're going in a kind of scientific manner. What we're gonna wind up with is big cylindrical boats with a lot of people on board and possibly a lot of missiles.
Like what's the name of the ship in The Expanse? I can never remember how to say it. The Rocinante?
The Rocinante.
The Rocinante?
But also all of the ships from that.
Oh yeah, all the ships. But I mean the hero ship. The hero ship, basically.
The hero ship, the Rocinante. Yes, the Don Quixote's horse. Except it's a corvette. But no, we rarely even get those. We rarely even get like something like the Rocinante, just like a 5-person corvette that honestly would be a great ship to just mess around with in a game, because the thing is, fighters can only really do fighting. Ships that are big can only do big shooty stuff, but small ships typically have some variety in them. Like small to mid-sized ones. Historical tangent this time around, because I am allowed to. When it comes to actual naval designations, it is basically said that generally the smaller a ship is, the more effective roles it has. Because if you have a big carrier, it carries aircraft. Cool. You got a big battleship, it does battle.
It battles.
It's not fast enough to do anything else. It just throws missiles or cannons at the biggest, scariest thing that's close to it. But from like small patrol boats up to destroyers, you can do a lot of stuff. A single destroyer can do anything from like patrols, anti-submarine warfare, mine laying, reconnaissance, all kinds of fun stuff. Well, fun.
Yeah,
probably not for the people involved, but
it reminds me of this. It reminds me of this Australian show I just watched called Sea Patrol, where it's like kind of a destroyer, frigate-sized ship that does all these different things, kind of a Coast Guard-y ship.
Right.
I was also gonna tangent into after I was done with that, because I had another one. We need a game just in general that lets us play the Space Guard. The equivalent, basically, you are basically someone on a small frigate dealing with not with apocalyptic level threats. Well, maybe later on if you get dragged back into the Navy and and things get really bad. But normally you're dealing with smugglers, rescuing people, dealing with diplomatic incidents, making sure no one sneaks up, and like even stuff like that aircraft would normally do, like interception. Like if someone's trying to sneak in a stealth ship, you say hi to them. That sort of stuff.
Exactly what I meant with my space patrol.
Yeah, and like this is why I think like Simcopter is such a good model for this, because it puts you in a city and it generates all these events that are rescue, traffic control, putting out fires, all these different things. I can't imagine you can't make an orbital or system-wide game that doesn't do something similar, where you're in a ship and you have like you're on patrol, and patrol can mean anything. Like something happens over there, like so there's a distress call. Let's go check that out. Oh, someone needs rescuing. Let's check that out. I would love to see more games in that kind of non-violent. Let's go save people. Let's go, help people fix ships game, like you're talking about. I wish we got more of that. And XO is kind of like that, but it's also, I'd say XO is more of a running away simulation. And you pick other people up along the way to run away with you. It's less of a we have a patrol route today. Let's go out there and see what happens and have adventures. Because you don't need combat to have a fun adventure. You don't.
Correct.
But so much pew pew, and I love the pew pew. I love the pew pew. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes you want something a little different than the pew pew. And again, I'm going to go back to Evercron Evercron Legacy, which I'm glad you brought up earlier, Thorsten, because it has a lot of things that aren't pew pew that are very engaging, which I wish more games would do.
Yeah, like racing and such stuff.
One of my favorite things in that game is flying over a planet to take pictures of it. It's such a simple mission, but I love that it's there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I wish.
And it's got a lot of historical precedent. It's what flying things mostly did. In fact, the first combat mission a flying aircraft ever flew was take pictures of the thing below. Thank you very much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, recon was
Yes.
the first use of aircraft in combat.
Oh, all right. And then they started
it's not
shooting
even-
at each other. Right.
Yeah, they figured out how to shoot out of an aircraft slightly later. Like we're talking slightly pre-World War One. I believe like Italy got into a scuffle with someone and used an aircraft for like artillery spotting. Yes, that's the fanciest. That's the level of fancy we got at the time.
Right.
If I may,
Sure.
Go ahead.
you were talking about space pew pew, right?
Mhm.
Here's the problem: is if you'd have no space pew pew, and I'm going to say something that's probably unpopular among certain parties. You have what the most recent and yes, I've seen it, the most recent season of Star Trek Discovery has become a bunch of people sitting around empathizing with each other, holding hands and singing Kumbaya, and it's getting incredibly boring. Or someone who
Wow.
uses the incredibly overused trope of they blew up my planet, they blew up the whole thing. Oh my God, it's gone. So there has to be a balance. But also, I would like to say, as far as the space trucking is concerned, I like the idea. And if a developer would do something with space other than taking a black backdrop, loading a shotgun with salt and shooting it with little white drops, and instead maybe going out looking at some of the photographs taken by the Hubble Space Telescope, they'd see there's plenty to see in outer space.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I would like to see along those lines is a fine balance. And here I'm going to say my choice for a trope, and I discussed this before the show with Spaz at length. And I know it's been done before, but not how I want it to be done. And that is space mining. And here's why. I don't want space mining while a bunch of people are ganging up trying to blow me out of space because I'm flying a particular ship. I don't want it as, okay, well, you're going to go over here and mine this because we need this as sort of a side thought. I want the economy part of the game, trucking, space mining. I want it to be the focus. The civilian side, everything is always the military side. Everything is always, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and everybody in the galaxy is going to be blind and toothless. And I said, why can't some of us have extremely stressful jobs like I do? Like, it's like somebody came to me and said, hi, I'd like to double everybody's rent at Christmas time. I said, you would you? Let me explain to you why you're not going to do this. And I said, okay, I want something that's a little more zen. And when I used to mine in EVE Online, it was like people would say, aren't you bored to tears? And I said, no, it's blissful. I'm listening to the sound of the mining lasers. And then I'm going to go back and play the market. And if you bastards can I say that? If you bastards would stop blowing the hell out of each other.
I wish you would say it more often. I love that word.
If you bastards would stop blowing the hell out of each other at the acceleration gate, I'd like to hop in my Chiron and simply spend my time just seeing the universe and trucking my ore to a better part of the universe without having to worry about somebody who would normally hand out my change at a Walmart blowing me out of outer space. So I want a game that's calm. Now, mind you, there's got to be a balance, because if while you're mining there's no pew pew or no danger whatsoever, then that too gets boring. So I'm welcome to some NBC pirates, maybe some NBC pirates that have kind of bad aim or something, or maybe some other people trying to jump your claim, or maybe you're mining some gas.
Julie,
What?
I have a game for you.
Ooh.
Yes. What's your game?
It is a game actually that is exactly that. It is called Delta V Rings of Saturn, which first off points for actually an actually creative name. Second, it is basically exactly that. You are on a boat, well, on a ship, on a big ship with a that's going around Saturn, back and forth between the station and the rings, picking apart the ice chunks for things of value. And it is pretty much exactly what it sounds pretty much exactly like what you've wanted, and I'm surprised you've not apparently heard of it before.
Well, first put a link in because nobody's talking whatsoever in the stream, and it's very perturbing.
Okay.
And even if somebody spews hate at me, that's okay, because I've come to despise everything that everybody has done with Star Trek Discovery, the most recent season. And when they got rid of Michelle Yeoh, I said, "You did what? You did what? Bring
Julie,
her back."
Julie, calm down, please.
She's getting her own show, man.
Yeah.
I have my own show.
No, she's getting her own show.
No, she's getting her own show.
Yeah, that's why they moved her off of there.
Yes, I know, and it's not soon enough. I know she's getting her own.
Okay.
Show.
Okay.
The Section 31 thing, that and it's like, wow, she was one of the best actresses on here, and it's like I've been watching the Prodigy thing, and I said, can we take half the budget for Star Trek Discovery and give it to my favorite captain, who's back on the air now? But anyway, I'm going off on another tangent, but I want to see a game that focuses on the economy. I want to hop in my interstellar Mack truck and I want to haul it to the other galaxy. I want to go past nebulas and say, hey, nobody's going to blow me. I want to park my truck and go have a little version of a Romulan ale, whatever, and maybe fight off some pirates. And that's the trope I want.
You kind of have that with the X series, but I guess there is more to have, yes.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of X4 Foundations, and you can kind of do that, but, in the end, I post all my guards around the system, and it's like, okay, everybody, leave me alone. I'm going to mine.
I really, I thought when I had your rant, Julie, one game had the premise to do exactly that, and that was Space Engineers. Sadly, somewhere on the way they turned in another direction. Sadly.
Yeah, I used to play Space Engineers and a lot. And what happened with a lot of multiplayer games like Space Engineers, and you're right, this is why I liked it. But two things would happen with a lot of multiplayer games. People tend to lose interest, and they'll say, okay, well, I'm going to go do something or other. And maybe it's just me, but it's nobody here in the Space Game Junkie podcast or associated with it or any of the fans. This was on another group, and I think maybe some of the players had the attention span of a gnat. But also what was frustrating is you'd spend hours and hours and hours and hours, and you'd build this great big economic empire. Somebody says, okay, we're going to wipe it and start over.
Yes. Absolutely correct, yes.
But yeah, you might like that Delta V game.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to go into screaming rants like this every now and then? And
absolutely.
I'd say limited to one per podcast, but yes.
Every now and then is
fun. Yeah, I don't know if we want to become have that be our thing, but every now and again.
We don't want to be. We don't always want to be reductive.
You
Yeah.
brought up the space pew pew thing, and I'm sitting here stewing about it. And I said, I have got to say something about space trucking.
Good. That's good.
Oh,
That's on topic.
I think Lou is also talking about Earth and Beyond. It says Space and Beyond, but I think he's talking about Earth and Beyond in the chat. And that is a game where you can pretty much spend a lot of time just mining.
It's that thing it tried to like resurrect itself at some point.
Oh well, it's you can play it through an emulator. It's a fan-based emulator. It's a very old game. Was it 2003? 2002? But yeah, you could spend, I mean, there are some mobs you'll have to kill to get to the mining. But for the most part, I mean, you could spend most of your time mining and crafting. That might be one to look into because that's a great game and you can play it completely for free because of the emulator. I wish I could recommend Jumpgate for the mining, but there are other people in there who might want to shoot you. So,
not that many, but still,
not that many. But Earth and Beyond, yeah, you just have to deal with mobs, and once you kill them, you can just mine to your heart's content. So that might be one to look into.
In a similar vein,
yeah,
I would like to see a game where you have a small ship, but your goal is to go out there, find derelicts, and salvage them for whatever they're worth.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Oh man,
and then you have the market on top of that. So your economic conflict is in what you can salvage, where you go and explore, what you get, what you can sell. That allows you to go out further, upgrade your ship, salvage more wrecks. It doesn't have to have any combat because the combat's already happened.
One of my favorite things
is Chris, like a hard space shipbreaker.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if it's similar to hard space, then it would be like more about the navigational challenge and about figuring out
finding the wrecks and then
so you have the exploration on top of the actually doing the thing of salvaging.
Oh, that'd be great.
You can even throw in search and rescue because hey,
30 I spent so much time in 30 Death War with Rex that
exactly.
Oh my god!
You just destroyed my dream game.
Yeah, it's a shame they just don't do it more often. It's a real because there are games that touch on this.
You could throw in search and rescue as part of it because maybe those people who are they've sent out their distress singles, but they're in cryotubes just waiting to be rescued. So you get out there, you're trying to salvage the wreck, and now you find you have a dozen people who are just waiting to be rescued. And then you have to deal with that. Exactly.
Jinx.
Oh man.
That would be very, very cool.
What about this game, Hard Space Shipbreaker? I haven't played it, but I looked at it and I said, wow, that's kind of like salvaging derelict ships.
Yeah, that's basically the premise of the game, is that you are a worker in debt to this corporation and you are trying to buy your way out. But the only way to do it is by salvaging wrecks that they assign, and then you can eventually pick what jobs you want to work on. But of course, you have to buy your own equipment. So that's a big part of it is by buying your own equipment, you can make the thing easier, but of course it's going to cut into your profit margin. So you have to sort of balance how much you're going to buy and not overbuy what you need. It's a very interesting concept. I like where it's going. Still in early access.
Yeah. We
it's actually one of the games I wanted to mention anyway because it's without the pew pew and you've how should I describe it? It's a complete new way to play a game. It's
yeah.
it's about dismantling stuff in zero G, and that's in itself very interesting, in my opinion.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd be playing it now because it's only $25. But anytime I see something that hadn't been burned so many times when something is early access and waiting for it to become abandonware,
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm kind of like, okay, I'll wait till it comes out.
I
What
can't,
I do, it's worked
can't-
out for me so far.
Yeah, I can't blame you on that. I mean, I think this game is going to come out. They've been updating it regularly. But yeah, what we're talking about is something that takes the concept of hard space shipbreakers, which is great, but makes it in this big open world exploration game where you have to find the wrecks first, and then you slice them up. You know, that would be wow. Maybe that'll be the sequel. Because
Possibly.
I
The
think
first one sells well enough, that might happen.
I think I think Hard Space is doing pretty well. So I could totally see them expanding to like an open world sequel where you have to go out and find the wrecks. And they could totally build on that from the first game too. Like in the first game, you're a low level demolisher, but then you like in the second game, like, oh, now we think you're good enough to go out there and find them, you know, and find them on your own. Not even bring them in here. That'd be great.
Do you think
I've
it'd
got
be
also to mention that what became later Deserts of Karak was originally planned as such a game.
Something similar, yes.
Yeah, where you roam the planet and search for derelict spaceships.
Really?
I was pretty disappointed as I went the Desert of Karak way and set it in the Homeworld universe. To be honest, it's not a bad game. Don't get me wrong, but it's the other concept was more appealing to me.
Right. Wow, we just covered a lot, didn't we?
Yeah.
I've got another one, and I think this falls in along of tropes, and I've seen a few like this, which were all exploration underwater. And because of, I don't know if I can say pandemic or not, but I guess I just did.
Yeah, you can.
Because in some places like YouTube, they say, "Oh, don't say pandemic, say this." But
What?
a friend and I, yeah, in some
Hang on a second. There's stop. What? There are some places where they don't want you to say pandemic.
right?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Why?
Because it's a controversial topic.
But it's happening.
Absolutely.
Tell that to
Sure.
YouTube.
Tell that to you.
Since when did we expect YouTube to make sense? Let's be honest here. Like, let's not dwell on that, please.
Okay.
This is
okay.
why on my other podcast, one of our co-hosts said, "Call it the global bastard," because of the YouTube thing.
Let's carry on. Let's carry on.
Well,
Sorry.
great.
Okay.
Just let it go, Brian. It's not gonna.
Sorry.
It's never going to make sense, but there you are. And
Okay.
our show isn't primarily carried there, but is rebroadcast a lot of places. And I mean the other one, which shall remain nameless. But so the thing is, during the pandemic, I primarily, other than going to church and wearing like a hazmat suit practically, I see two other human beings other than the one I'm not living with. And they are also kind of sequestered. And so we were talking about this very thing about how, well, now we can't go on vacation. We can't do this. We can't do that. And we were talking about the idea of an exploration game. No pew pew, no anything, just entirely and solely exploration, and have it be like places that you could actually go. It's like, okay, I want a virtual Gaza, trip, pyramids at Giza rather. And I would like to see more VR exploration games.
Huh. I mean, they have like kind of go to Scotland or whatever in VR, like type things where you can like, oh, here's a castle. You can go check it out in VR. Like but I see what you mean. But
Although, yes, a virtual Gaza strip would probably be kind of exciting as well.
I think that's coming out for DCS
Maybe-
at some point.
Maybe in a different way than, say, the pyramids of Giza would be, or temples in Japan. There's a very different kind of aesthetic there.
Well, the idea was like, okay, let's kind of go on a virtual vacation with our friends, that we can't normally see.
right.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean. Yeah, a walking simulator sort of thing, but in VR and in actual places.
A number of museums have actually done this, where you can actually virtually walk around their museum. And the real estate industry actually has a lot of that as well.
Yeah, touring homes and such before you, since so many things must be done virtually these days for good reason. Yeah, that makes sense.
That does make sense. Yeah, I mean that would be fun. Like that thing that they did in the last few Assassin's Creed games, where like you can walk around Egypt and stop for these virtual tour things. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but they're really cool.
Yeah,
And,
they're very, very cool.
They're very cool. I've only seen the one for Origins, but it's so neat. And so that would be a fun thing. Would just be to do a virtual, or why not a virtual tour of spaceships? Like, remember back in the day, they had the Star Trek interactive technical manual.
Oh, yeah, that was a thing.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, you could walk around the Enterprise D in like this very, well, today, even then though it was kind of primitive, quick time event thing, where you would just basically, it wasn't a full 360 thing. You would like move the view in like predetermined angles and whatnot, but you could walk around the whole, like a lot of the ship. Like, how cool would that be if they had a virtual tour of the Enterprise or the Orville or a Star Destroyer?
Wait.
Or
hold on, Brian. The Orville already has that,
right? I know, but
and we've played it on stream.
I know these things exist. I'm just saying I would like more of them, and in VR.
Okay.
Yes.
Wasn't there like also that DLC to Star Trek Elite Force 2?
Where you could walk around
allow
Voyager.
you to walk around Voyager. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, was there?
Here's an example of something like Ubisoft, of all people, have done. And in one of their Assassin's Creed games, it is possible to buy a version of it which is little more than exploring Egypt with and this is aimed at educational communities. And interestingly enough, when not too long ago, in 2019, the Notre Dame Cathedral burnt not entirely down. I read an article in Reuters that said the only real, actual, detailed version of Notre Dame Cathedral anywhere was in the Assassin's Creed game that Ubisoft came out with.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because they went in and did just detailed footage of everything. So they documented everything when they were making the game. And after it burned, I remember they did a giveaway of the game to raise awareness of it burning and try to get people to donate, which it successfully, as far as I know, that campaign was successful. They got a lot of people who got the game, and then a lot of people donated to try to raise funds for its restoration.
Yeah, I just barely missed the giveaway, so I went out and I bought it anyway, just so I could tour the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, because it's someplace I'll probably never get to. And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great to be able to take virtual vacations with, I got a friend in Hull, England. I'll probably never get to see. I have a friend from London I see once a year, and because of the travel ban, I couldn't see her this year.
Oh, so you'd like a thing where you can join your friends for like a virtual vacation?
Yeah, the other guy in Hull is also named Brian, and I thought, wow, wouldn't it be able to be great to take a little tour someplace with the other Brian, or Evelyn and I could go and say, hey, let's go on a vacation to Paris,
That would be cool.
Or someplace like Chicago where it's muggy no matter what the weather's like.
Yeah, and you don't have to deal with actual weather. Like, that'd be fun. Yeah, that's a good thing.
What I wanted to mention is there were back in the 8-bit times 2 games I remember very well. And they were fully into this exploration theme, and that were 7 Cities of Gold and the successor the Heart of Africa. And those were pretty interesting games, especially in the exploration themes.
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember those at all.
Yeah, as I said, they were 8-bit games on the Atari 800 and the C64 and so on.
Yeah, the concept was you are an explorer, you are hired by Spain to travel west. And one of the things that it did was you could actually travel west to the Americas, but it could also generate new maps. So it could actually procedurally generate the terrain you would actually travel to. And you would have to get lucky and find land sailing west and just hope that your supplies would last long enough. But there are some problematic elements. I mean, you are effectively a conquistador with your soldiers there, and you are on a quest for as much gold and treasure as you can bring back with you. So there's some problematic stuff in there, but as a game concept, it was very good.
This is why when I play Subnautica now, what I do is I turn on God mode. I bring in a submarine and I just explore. But I thought, wow, wouldn't it be nice, despite the fact that they said that they'd never do multiplayer, is have like a little multiplayer thing and we could kind of explore the ocean bottom.
Kind of like a All-Star, but underwater.
And that's another yet another mention of Subnautica by Julie. I think that's bingo at this point. It's all right.
Do I win a prize?
More Subnautica.
I don't think so. Yes, more Subnautica.
A sequel will eventually arise.
There is a sequel.
There is?
Another one.
And yes, Torsten, it was Bunton who was lead on 7 Cities of Gold.
Oh wait, was 7 Cities of Gold? Was that the old EA game, 7 Cities of Gold?
Yeah, it was published by EA.
Oh yeah, I never played that one. I remember seeing it in the stores. I never actually played it.
Yeah, I have that version for the Atari 800. It's I still have it to this day. Never get rid of it.
Oh, Beatles does bring up the interesting thing about No Man's Sky, the creative mode in that game, where you could just explore. And you can do that? Can you do that with multiplayer? Can you do the creative mode in multiplayer?
I've never done it, actually.
I've never tried, but I played creative mode for that very reason. And after they added all these interesting animals into the game, I said, wow, now it's really worth kind of exploring, looking for a particular type of animal. And yeah, that's why I do it.
Yeah, that might do it if they allowed multiplayer in creative mode where you can just fly around and explore and shit. That could be
I
fun.
don't know whether or not it does, honestly, because I've played creative mode once, and that was very, very early on, before multiplayer was even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know whether or not creative saves can work in multiplayer.
And now that you can also explore the universe and discover your own city/village, that also helps the whole exploration aspect of the game.
Oh yeah, it does.
Oh really?
Yeah, you have it's a settlement management element to it.
What?
You don't actually select where the buildings get placed, or you don't actually build them yourself. You just decide which of between, say, two available options would be available. You pick which of those you want to build, and then you provide the resources, and then the town builds it.
Oh,
A
wow.
host of space game junkie that didn't know space started our own space game junkie planet with at least 4 different villages on it.
Yeah. Well,
No.
Brian doesn't play No Man's Sky, so yeah.
Okay, I forgive Brian then.
We've played it before on stream, but it's been a while.
Yeah, survival games are not really my thing, because I'm of the opinion that if I want to survive, I'll get out of bed in the morning. I don't want to deal with that in a game. Oh, my character is thirsty. Fuck that. I'm thirsty in real life. I don't want to deal with that in a video game too. I mean, I know a lot of people like that. A
lot of these have creative modes, though.
Yeah, that's
you don't have
true.
the survival element, and No Man's Sky is one of them where you don't even have to harvest any resources, because resources are infinite in creative mode. So if you want to build something, you just build it. But then again, you don't really like building much either. So
Plus, the
Yeah.
way Spans plays it, even when you play in survival mode, like, he's so good at the game. It's like you log on one day and he says, okay, here's 300 million credits for you. Enjoy yourself.
yeah, I have done that.
More than once.
Oh my God, I think I just found a game completely by accident that might fit into some of the tropes we've talked about today. It's called Space Docker VR. You basically are a space forklift driver. And
That sounds actually brilliant.
and it's your job to like dock with ships and then bring them into like space docks and things. Like,
Could you link it in the?
yes. Sorry, let me do that right now. It was just sent to me. I guess got an alert via Steam Curator Connect that it was sent to me. I'm like, oh my God, this is this is kind of what we've been talking about.
Oh, sadly, only VR.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, VR is worth
Space
getting.
Tugboat captain. Yeah, that's what it seems to be. That's what
it looks like. Is a space tugboat captain, and that sounds great. And you guys, it's got a racing mode. You guys, it's and procedural levels.
Mm-hmm.
Were they listening to the show? Have these guys been listening to the show?
It's like just along the way, just casually listening along and went,
I'm serious.
we'll send that.
I'm serious. This wasn't here an hour ago, so I'm like, wait a minute. Were they listening?
There is a non-zero chance.
Oh, you got are the developers in the chat?
I'm not gonna guarantee it, but I'm not gonna rule it out.
I think I'm gonna load this up today. Excuse my language, but I'm gonna install this today and try this out. Like within moments of us closing the podcast, I'm going to be installing this and trying. Like, oh my God, this looks.
It was literally released today.
It came out. Oh, it's out today. Oh my God. It was. I had never heard of this. And I check.
What a coincidence.
It just literally out of nowhere, because I don't know if you guys know the extent I go to look out for games that are coming out. I go through like 3 different feeds to see what's coming out. And I never saw this before until just now. And it's like, what? It is $13. And yeah, it looks VR only. I'm sorry for those of you who don't have VR. But if you can get a Quest 2, because my God, they're amazing. And they're coming down in price. They're not that expensive. Yeah, this looks like, I'll have to report back, because this looks like really what we've been talking about. Like, oh my God.
That was an interesting development.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wait, what is this? Are the developers in our chat right now? Folks, are you here? If you are, blink twice. If you're in the chat, blink fast.
Brian, I don't think that would help.
I know. That's why it's funny, I hope. I don't think it was, but I thought it was funny. Oh my God.
If
Oh my
you're an
God.
influencer, make them come out with a non-VR version.
Well.
See, yeah, if they do that, then I'd be able to actually play it.
Yeah, let me
I don't have a VR setup.
Well, I will ask in there. I will ask on the Steam forum. Any chance of a non-VR version?
I feel like the answer is going to be no, but it's still worth asking.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, if it's a no, then that's fine. I'm not going to hold that against them, because, well, you know, it does take up development time to actually plan for that. So fair.
Yeah, I honestly feel bad for anyone who makes a game just for VR, because it's such a small share of gamers as a whole. It's so tiny. It's like 2%.
Adoption is increasing, but
That's true. And affordable headsets like the Quest 2 are helping with that. But it's still such a tiny share of the market. So little. It baffles me that people still make VR only games. Like, there are games that can do VR and non-VR, which I'm sure is its own challenge. But I think if Bridge Crew can do it, anyone can do it. So, oh my God, this is just kind of an amazing development. Like, oh my God, it's a kind of a game we've been talking about right here, right now. Wow.
Quality.
the timing could not have been better.
The timing is hilarious. This just dropped as we were talking. Like, I think it actually appeared on Steam as we were talking, because I've never seen this before. And just boom, here it is. Yeah, developers, if you're in the chat, just say hi. Just say hello. If you're not in the chat, I am going to reach out to them.
I mean, faster than CIG is not saying much, Thorsten.
I'm going to reach out to them, because these sound like people we should have on the show. I'm going to reach out to them. Like, hey, you made the kind of game we want. We should talk to you. Were there any other tropes anyone wanted to talk about?
I actually have one.
Go for it.
What?
Yeah, the one that I had in mind is so you're the evil emperor, except you now have to deal with the fact that you have succeeded. And now you have to deal with the after effects of succeeding. You've defeated the heroes. You know, they've tried to stop you and they've failed. But now you actually have to go about the business of running your empire. And all of the issues that come about because of the fact that you won. You had people behind you because you had the fear of the heroes coming after you to motivate them. And now you don't have them anymore to fall back against as an antagonist.
Hmm.
I mean, Space Tyrant did that sort of.
A little bit.
Had that setup, yeah, that basic setup.
What was it? Was it Sorcerer King that also kind of touched on that a little bit?
And there's also
a little
I think
bit.
it was Tyranny, the fantasy game. Yeah, basically the idea is you've already won, but now what?
That's a good
now
point.
What do you do with
pretty interesting idea?
That is a good idea. It's kind of like a 4X game after you've won the 4X
It is
game.
interesting. And depending on the framing, it can be anywhere from hilarious to horrendously dark. But it is interesting.
Could be a lot of dark humor in that.
Right.
one.
I mean, you could go along the lines of, well, now you've won. Now you have to deal with the people not having this thing to fear, and since you made your way through as an authoritarian, you need another enemy. What becomes the new enemy after that?
It would be like,
and it could go in some very different directions.
It'd be like an Emperor Ming simulator before Flash Gordon shows up.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd play that.
That would be actually a good idea for integrating in Stellar Monarch or one of the other games, like Alliance of the Sacred Sons, like in like as a DLC or something.
Oh yeah, like
because they deal effectively with such stuff.
Like a post-winning mode, like you won, now what? Because yeah, a lot of games do that. Like you win, okay, I won, now what? Like that would be an interesting like post-game mode. Like you won your game in Alliance of the Sacred Sons. Now how do you manage all this stuff you won?
That's where the difficulty comes from.
Simulator.
That could be fun. Or you know what I would love to see? Like, how about not being an emperor in that kind of you won scenario, but a bureaucrat? Like you're a paper pusher.
I mean, it could be
please in space.
Papers, please in space, where you are dealing with the day to day and dealing with the potential for corruption. Not necessarily that it's a requirement, but yeah, that could be the other thing. Is if you are in the scenario I mentioned, you are at you've won. Now you have to deal with all the corruption that came about as a result of your winning.
Yeah. Yeah, like imagine being a middle manager in the Empire. That could be a funny game.
Grand Moff Tarkin simulator.
But no, you're not Grand Moff Tarkin, you're Grand Moff Tarkin's accountant. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like I think that could be hilarious if done right. Moff, I'm sorry, I'm gonna need the receipts for the last 2 weeks.
Boss, did you get that email I sent you?
Yeah, my lord, I'm sorry. I'm gonna need the expense report for the destruction of Alderaan.
All right, so
how much did it cost to shoot that laser?
Right, comfortable shoes, giant death laser.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, you've got to report it to Darth Vader.
No, Darth Vader doesn't have time for that crap. You reported to Darth Vader's personal assistant. Oh, there we go. The personal assistant to a guy like that. Like, what if you were Darth Vader's personal assistant? How terrible and funny would that be?
Well, I imagine he goes through them quite quickly.
Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be the roguelike element of it. Is you play Darth Vader?
Try to go through your game without getting forced to.
Okay, that was good.
It'd be like the Rogue Legacy of of Darth Vader personal assistants. I want this game.
There's an entire bloodline of pencil pushers.
And you have to.
Don't get force choked as a victory.
Oh my God! Yeah. Oh. Lord Vader, sir. I'm sorry, but I need your signature on this.
All right, I think we've run this bit into the ground.
I'm fucking crying. Excuse my language. Oh my God. Oh, I want this game to happen now.
So, on tropes that we would like to see, I guess that one also counts.
Oh,
Yeah, actually, it would.
it would. It would.
It would be. Yeah, it would be a way to show a different side of the evil empire.
Yeah. Yeah, like you're not the emperor. You're not even the emperor's right hand. You're the personal assistant.
See, if it had a game where after you finish the game, and if it was artificially intelligent enough so it could learn how you play, and then afterwards put you in the role of your own assistant where you try and take over from inside.
Oh, that could be fun too.
That would be a
That
lot
would
of
be a
programming,
roguelike
but
sort of thing as well. I mean, a roguelike strategy game where, there was a game that came out several years ago called Defect,
Oh yeah,
and
right.
the concept was you build your ship to take on this enemy, but you have to build a weakness into your ship because when you've destroyed the other ship, you then have to take on the ship that you built.
I remember something about this.
Yeah, so you had to build a weakness into it that you can exploit, but it's not so exploitable that it can be used on you as you're trying to win.
Oh man, I'm still
Similar idea.
I'm still laughing at the Darth Vader personal assistant idea. I'm still I'm still laughing. Named Tim. I am Darth Vader, and this is my assistant, Tim.
Why? I was thinking Tim there was some. Like waiting for the same joke, like with 1 second delay on my end.
I'm dying. Oh my God.
And of course, one of your side quests must be a hunt for a stapler.
Absolutely. That always gets stolen by someone.
You also have to manage your own office budget. Like, Mr. Vader, sir, Lord Vader, sir, I could really use a new laptop.
Lol.
Office Space, the Empire. Oh my God. Okay. I think with that. Does anyone else have anything they want to contribute, or should we call it?
I'm out of options.
I'm still laughing. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode. We're off for next week because it's the week leading up to Christmas. So no streams, no shows, no nothing for next week. But in 2 weeks, we'll be back. And it'll be the last show of 2021. So we will take a look back at gaming in 2021, what we played, what we think is like maybe our best game for 2021. Even if it didn't come out in 2021, like what game did we love in 2021? So it'll be kind of a look back at not only the games that came out in 2021, but our year of gaming in 2021 as well. And that'll be it. So we'll see you back here tomorrow for more Warhammer, y'all. That was a great show. Great chat, too. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for being so active. It was great seeing you all. And whatever you celebrate, have a happy holiday. Have a great holiday season. Whatever you celebrate, or if you don't, have a great week, I guess. And we'll see you back here in 2 weeks for our look back at 2021. Have a great one, y'all. Bye bye.